doing this evening? There we go. That was really lame and cheap on my part. In any case, this is a great panel here that I know that you all have been looking forward to. The show, My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, is made possible by the imaginations of the people that write for it. And so it is my pleasure to introduce to you the writers of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic for you right here, starting with Meghan McCarthy. I'm not sure where we're sitting, wherever is convenient. Amy Keating Rogers. M.A. Larson. Natasha Levinger. And finally, Josh Haber.
I know.
And
I don't know if it's
all
on
the mics too. Oh, sweet. We've all got mics. Fantastic. We've all got mics. So you all, I'm sure, know how this works pretty well, and you guys are pretty much vets at this point. Other than Natasha, this is your first panel, correct? Yes, it is.
Oh, I don't know if are these on? Can you hear us? Okay.
Hello.
They are first panel. And
is this
is yours as well?
You get some water up here?
Here, I got some here.
Diva.
Here you go. Josh, is this also your first panel, or is this?
Yeah.
Hello.
Does this one work? Oh, mine works.
I'll make sure. So let's see here. Let's start with the basic one, and I know that this is the one that you guys get the most, and you hear it every panel, which is, how did you guys get into writing? So do you want to just start at this end and go down to that end, or do you want to make Meghan go first? It's up to you.
I want to make Meghan go first.
Okay, Meghan, you get to go first.
Is this mic working? I can't. No. Yes. Okay. Let's see. I went to film school at Florida State and moved out to LA because I got it's kind of like I won a contest. The Disney had a fellowship that they offered that you could send in scripts, and then they would pick a certain number of people to come out for a year and work for them and write. And so I was lucky enough to be chosen. And so I came out and did that and wrote features for a while, none of which were made. And then ended up kind of getting into TV animation writing, and that's kind of where I've been ever since. And I really love it. It was a great fit for me. So I won a contest. Thanks.
I started as an actor, and that's what I studied in college. In order to finish my theater degree, I took a playwriting class, and I didn't expect to do well in it, and I tried to drop it, and my professor wouldn't let me. And so then I started writing plays, and I discovered that I was good at it and enjoyed it. And then I continued on at Cal Arts and got my MFA in acting and continued to write plays. And then I tried to pursue an acting career, and while I was doing that, I was a production assistant at Hanna-Barbera and then Cartoon Network on the Powerpuff Girls, and a play of mine was being produced in Hollywood at the time, and they needed help on Powerpuff Girls with the writing, and I approached Craig McCracken about writing for Powerpuff on the same day he was going to approach me, and so he gave me a chance to write for the show, and I ended up at first freelancing for the show, and then I became head writer of the show. And then I kind of just kept going from there.
I kind of fell in love with writing through literature in high school. I had some English classes that I really loved, like John Steinbeck and Kurt Vonnegut and that kind of thing. And then went to film school because that would be an easier way to make money writing, which it is. And moved to LA and didn't know what I was going to do. And a friend of mine was working at Cartoon Network as a storyboard artist and got me onto a show there called My Gym Partner's a Monkey. You've heard of it? And then just met some people there, and my next job was on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That's where I met Lauren. I did one episode. And then, just like Amy, then it just kind of takes off from there, so.
I want to know why we don't have those special mics. Can anyone hear me? Yeah.
I'm 2 seats down from you and I can't hear you.
You're very quiet.
That's because, see, the mic wasn't on.
This one works too.
I hate you both. Well,
That's called setup joke.
you're teaching me how to be funny. I started rewriting I Love Lucy episodes when I was in 4th grade. And that instilled a love of writing. And then I became an actress, and that wasn't going so well, so I started writing my own stuff. And then I started writing promos for NBC, and then I started writing TV movies and features. And then I ended up here. Yay!
Now it's my turn. I also started out as an actor. It's weird. It's also weird how hard it is to get work as an actor. Yeah, so that didn't go so great. It went okay, but not fantastic. And then I went to film school and thought, well, I'll be a director, and that actually didn't pan out either. And then I went in. I was working actually in development in like the very business side of the industry, and I kept seeing going across my desk these large checks for writers, and I thought,
Where the hell were you working?
Yeah, really. And then you started writing for animation? Boy,
No, I was working in the live action world. Yeah. But I thought, hey, that's a good idea. I should try and pursue that. And I wrote a whole bunch of specs and sent them out to all my friends and everybody that I know, and one of them found its way to Megan, and she read it and thought that it was okay. So we had a meeting, and then I started writing on the show.
That's okay. You hire him.
It was good enough.
Zai.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. Cool. Now, some of the people, actually, just to give you an idea here, I'm pretty sure that everybody here already knows, like, all the episodes that you guys do, like the back of their hand. But to give people a little bit of an idea, because we're going to be doing some questions from the audience, starting with you this time, because we're going to bounce back that way,
That's fair.
is the favorite episode that you have written personally? This is always a tough one.
Yeah, well, because they're all so good. I mean, how do I pick a favorite? They're like my children, which is not untrue. Gosh, I don't know. I think the Flim Flam one was the most fun I had, because I got to write a big fun song, and those two characters are hysterical. So it's really a good time writing for them. I think that was the most fun, even though it wasn't a Rarity episode, and I love Rarity. Yeah, I'm still gonna go with the Flim Flam episode. I think that's my favorite.
Probably Pinky Pride. I mean, there's only 2 there.
What was the question? Favorite episode? Either the Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000 or the
Flim Flam.
Flim Flam, or the Discord episodes, Return to Harmony. Because they paid twice as much.
My new favorite one that I wrote is Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Which I should mention is also my newest favorite episode.
I liked Party of One because I couldn't believe that I was able to write an episode where someone was just talking to inanimate objects. Let's see, what else? Well, you haven't seen it yet, but I really like the finale of this season. Because it was culmination of a lot of things, and so I'm proud of how it came together.
Awesome. Well, I know that we're supposed to be taking some questions from the audience. I know that there's a lot of people out there. Just as even a show of hands, how many of you have questions? This is how popular you guys are. You're rock stars. There's a microphone, and is it down here? I want to make sure. It's down here. If you guys could form a line right there at the microphone, then we will get some questions going on here. The lovely lady there will be taking your questions, and you can ask them. So many. Oh, look at this. They're positively rioting. While that's getting set up, Emily Larson, are you still evil? Are you still evil?
I'll answer that. The question.
Well, I just want to know if you're still evil.
Evil.
Evil in general. Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I had someone that wanted me to ask you that. Whenever are you ready down there? I want to make sure. You guys ready for this? Natasha, are you ready for this? Are you ready? Are you ready for your Q&A?
I'm ready to get no question.
All right.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure if they're ready. We gotta waste some time. Luckily, I'm at a table with like really imaginative people that are really good at coming up with stuff on the spot because I'm not.
Are we vamping right now?
Yeah, apparently. All right.
Josh and I are improvisers. Should we?
Yeah. Okay.
Can I have a job and a fruit?
All right.
In the audience.
We could ask
to go?
the line questions. We could ask them questions.
Huh? What's that?
We could ask those guys questions.
That's a good idea. Let's do this.
What is your question?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Does this actually
See,
work?
that's a setup and a joke. That's great.
I'm gonna have to keep clarifying that.
All right, we don't know if it's. Oh yeah, that's on.
Hot mic. That's a hot mic.
All right. Hello everyone. This one is for Meghan. Hi again, Meghan. Last time you saw me, I was injured and walking with a cane. EQLA 12. But that's irrelevant. So, my question is, since I'm not sure what your ranking is on the Hasbro or DHX staff, but this seems to be appropriate. Does Hasbro have any plans of any G4 movies other than the Equestria Girls series, or like, is that even a possibility?
I think anything's a possibility. That's kind of a decision that definitely comes from them and not from me. I mean, obviously, I would want to make a movie, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not something that I don't have the giant checkbook that can fill out the check to make a big movie. So it's not up to me. But obviously, if it was something we could do, I would want to do it for sure.
Go for it.
All right. Hello, my name is Steven, and I'm wondering if we're going to see Derpy at all anymore. I mean, if we're going to see Derpy more often in the series.
I think, yeah.
I think that was a definitive yeah.
Yeah, I think yes. I think Derpy will be seen again. Yes.
Would there be a possibility that we could get an episode that focused on Celestia?
Perhaps. There's some, potentially there are some things that will happen in the near future that involve her.
Thank you.
But I'm going to follow up your question with if you want to learn more about Celestia and Luna's past,
Oh, yes.
you should go purchase the Journal of the Two Sisters, which is coming out on June 10th, that I wrote, and you can find out what happened to them back when they first became princesses and the early years of the two sisters. And that you might, it's not what's currently, it's not about, Celestia and, I'm going to go sign this treaty and,
As Celestia is off
Because
to
that's
do.
what she's always doing during her equestrian days. But, early days.
But yeah, if you are a Celestia fan, Amy has written a fantastic book that is coming out soon.
Available for pre-order on
That
Amazon.
has,
Amazon.com. So there you go.
Thank you.
Buy it now.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
All right, my question's for Josh, and
Wait, what?
and now in simple ways, when Applejack and Rarity both switched their personas, that got me wondering if given the chance, would you swap any other pony personas, and if so, whose would you choose?
Oh, that's a good one.
Pinkie Pie and Twilight. Just off the top of my head, that seems like the most appropriate. Pinkie Pie and Twilight. Yeah, they should totally switch.
I agree.
Freaky Friday. Can I get that premise approved? Is that cool?
Sure, yeah, done.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, I'm Maud Pai, and I'd like to ask you a few questions. Lately, I've been noticing that Spike hasn't been up to his potential, and I've been wondering that maybe if you guys could do something with the Cutie Mark Crusaders and Spike, since they are in the same age range. Would that ever be a possibility?
I missed the first, but I heard that Spike, but I didn't hear.
Spike's not living up to his full potential, and who and Spike?
Because you know how he and the Cutie Mark Crusaders are the same age?
Oh, sure.
Maybe they could do some stuff together, because it seems kind of weird that, a little baby dragons hanging around with, older mares, and so maybe
He could hang out with the Cutie Mark Crusaders.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a couple of fun things coming up
Yeah, Spike.
before the end of this season that Kathy, who plays Spike, just knocked out of the park. So it's not so much hanging out with Cutie Mark Crusaders, but he does have some really great episodes and interactions, and Rarity may be involved in one of them. Not in that way. Gee whiz. You guys,
Keep it clean.
come on. He's a child. But yeah, he has some good stuff that is hilarious.
This man has a very intense pose here.
I do indeed. Anyways, hello again. My question is, do you think possibly the most hated character in this show will ever be performed? Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon.
Oh, I cannot use the words to describe those because there may be children present. But wait, what was the last part of your question there?
Will they ever be reformed, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon? Will they ever show some decency?
Maybe? I can't say right now. Possibly. I mean, I like, the fact that they are such a villain they're the worst kind of villain, the mean girl, to the Cutie Mark Crusaders. There's always possibility, to find out why they're that way and what might make them not so. But we'll see.
Thank you.
So if you can slow down just a little bit, just in general, because the speakers are that way, and it's just a little bit hard to hear on our end. Please.
Hello.
Hi.
We got that.
All right. My question is, who would you be besties with in the show out of all the people you've written?
Oh, that's a good one.
Amy. I would say
Amy's
probably
characters.
Applejack, because I have a friend who basically is Applejack, and I love her. So that's easy.
Oh, nobody. Okay. Probably Fluttershy because I rescue animals. So does she, and we both can speak to animals.
I found that funny.
Okay.
Whatever. It's my thing.
Thank you.
Rarity. Because we're both really into fashion. Obviously.
Mine, I think, would be Rainbow Dash, because I'm kind of sporty. But I'm probably more like Twilight a little bit, with a dash of Rainbow Dash. So I think probably the two of them would be my besties.
I was actually thinking yesterday about, I've heard that people hate Applejack a lot, and
What?
I'm just saying this is what I've heard. Don't be angry at me about it. This is just
We must find him.
Jeepers. This is like, there's like all this like Earth Pony hate or something. This is what people write to me about.
Racists.
You don't know what I deal with on the Twitter and the hate. And I was thinking that Applejack would be a really good girlfriend, and that I would want her to be my girlfriend. So, Applejack, she's so dependable, and you could trust her. So, that's thank you.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
My question is, of all the characters who have appeared in the show, both heroes and villains, who is your favorite character to write for and why? I had to think of something to ask.
Discord is always fun to write for sure.
Discord.
But I really like to write for all of them because they're so unique that you get to take a little part of yourself each time. You're kind of exploring a different aspect of your personality. So it's hard to say who, as you get into a script, you start to hear their voices, and it's really kind of fun to write for all of them. It's good to switch it up and get to do somebody different all the time. So I kind of am partial to everybody.
Yeah, I really enjoy writing for Pinkie Pie, and that's who I've written for a lot. But then this season, I got to write for ponies who I didn't usually get to write for, like Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash and Twilight. And so it was really fun to get to write in their voices, because I hadn't written for them, in quite a while. But I fall into Pinkie Pie very easily.
Probably Rarity, just because I'm such a fan of Frasier, and to me, she's Frasier.
Frasier? Not B.B. Newers.
No.
Interesting.
Pompous,
I get
self-inflated.
Guys,
I don't.
come on, keep it down.
Sorry, Natasha.
Keep it down.
Please.
I demand to know why.
I agree. It is fun to write for all of them, but Pinkie Pie also comes probably the easiest to me. Or Fluttershy. I don't know. They're all great, guys. They're all great. I think we can agree on that.
I'm gonna say Rarity again, but I enjoy writing for Pinkie Pie too. Although I kind of feel like Pinkie Pie ends up serving a certain purpose in scripts that is really easy and a great go-to. I mean, because I guess I write her poorly, but I really enjoy it when I do. I really enjoy Rarity, and I enjoy Fluttershy. There's something about Fluttershy where I feel like there's a lot going on underneath that she's not going to talk about, and so she kind of I feel like there's a lot of subtext with Fluttershy that is sort of fun to play with. I feel like at any moment she could explode, but she's never going to.
Ooh. Thank you for answering my question.
You're welcome.
Just real quick, Mike Vogel at Hasbro says hello to everyone. I don't know if anyone follows him on Twitter.
Big Brother is watching.
Text hello.
Mike has asked me, no, I pretended to be him for April Fool's Day on Twitter. I pretended to be him for April Fool's Day on Twitter.
That was awesome.
That was so funny.
I was the one with the terrible draw sketches. Anyway.
Also, Hasbro has no association with this.
Hey guys, tell me about a certain episode, story, or plot point that you kind of fell in love with. It was highly recommended you change it, and ultimately you had to change it, and then realized that it was better in the long run.
Oh, something we fell in love with and had to get rid of, and then realized that was actually okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens probably a lot, where you are working on something and you think, oh, this is the best thing ever, and then you take a step back, and because every first draft it's called a first draft for a reason. So you can kind of fall in love with something, and then you have to kill it in the next draft, and you usually find at the end of the day there was a reason that you killed it. It was just part of your process to get things down, and you were just in a flow of writing stuff. And then when you go to sort of tighten things up, something's got to go. So it kind of happens I can't nail down like one particular thing, because I feel like it happens pretty frequently, and it's something you have to get used to as a writer, that you can't keep everything that you think is the best thing ever, because you have 22 minutes to tell a story.
Yeah, and often you forget about it once it's gone. And we write so many things, and then it airs a year later, and I often forget what I do keep in scripts, let alone things I've cut. So, yeah, it's kind of gone.
I've never really written anything less than perfect, so I don't really know. I could guess. It'll probably be Luna Eclipsed, because the character changed quite a bit from the first draft to the second draft, and it ended up being a lot better, the one that aired. The first draft was still fun, but it wasn't nearly as interesting of a character as it ended up being, so probably that.
I agree with everyone else. No. It's one, I have no memory, and two, I think that's just part of the writing process, is having to throw a lot of stuff out that you love, and then also finding stuff, it ends up getting better, and hopefully. But yeah, that's just part of the writing process, I think.
I'm going to second that.
I think that's fifth.
Was it? Yeah. What is it? 1, 2, 3, yeah. Fifth. Yeah, it's definitely part of the process. I think you don't write something unless you love it. No one writes something down that is like, well, that's no good, and then turns it in. So yeah, I love everything that I write. I fall in love with all of it, and not all of it is worth A, my love, and B, being put on air later on. So a lot of stuff gets cut out. Yeah, I can't think of anything specific. There are some songs that I wrote, but mostly what I think of when I think of those songs is like how cool I rhymed and like got the syllables to match. And when they get cut, I'm like, oh god. But yeah, it's just, like everyone said, it's part of the process. It's what we do.
Awesome.
As a kind of a related question to that one, this is kind of I lost my train of thought there for a second. What is a joke or some kind of a line that you've wanted to put into your writing somewhere, but it just has never fit in? Like you've never found the opportunity to put this joke in, and probably never will.
Well, I was saying today in my ukulele thing that in The Best Night Ever, Pinky was supposed to do a conga, and it got cut. And then I put it in the goof off in Pinky Pride, and the goof off got completely rewritten by Daniel, and so it got cut again. And so poor Pinky is never going to get to do this awesome conga that I've written, and I keep like trying to shove into episodes. So yeah, this conga, I love this conga. So I don't know. Someday.
I don't know. I really don't know.
No, don't know. Okay. All right.
Greetings. I would like to know how you manage the time limits, how you manage to write the scripts so that they fit in the episode time frames.
I mean, when we go to break a story, we know that it needs to be 3 acts. We know how long the acts have to be, and so we kind of plan accordingly, and know how big, or try to know how big the story. How big of a story we can do in that amount of time. So it really just becomes again, it's sort of all of this becomes part of the process of writing. You kind of get used to this particular format, and the acts need to be this long, and here's approximately how many scenes will be in those acts. So when we sit and we write all the scenes up on the board, we can kind of, it's almost like a math problem in a weird way. I mean, I think of TV writing and screenwriting as emotional math. You're plugging it into this sort of thing, and you know how much time you have and how many scenes and things like that, and where you're trying to get a character from point A to point B. So it just becomes part of what we do.
I have a timer, and I actually act it all out. I have costumes, like the whole thing. 22 minutes exactly.
And you know what your page count is. I mean, if you're asking on a technical thing, we know that it's, okay, the teaser is generally, 3 pages or whatever, 2 to 3 pages. And then Act 1 is, 10 to 11 pages. And so you're hitting these marks. So if you're getting to that mark and you're going too long, you're going, oh boy, I better go back and cut stuff. And so you know where to gauge things, and you know how many lines you're allowed. And so when just as a technical thing, when you're writing, we know that we can't have a 40-page script because that's way too long. So things like that. You can only hit 30 to 33 pages. So if you're just going, oh, this is the most brilliant scene ever, blah, cut that crap. I'm so Elson.
Hello there.
Hi.
I got a question for Amy.
Yes.
In the episode of Pinky Pride, there was a scene that Rainbow Dash wears this big cheese hat.
Yes.
Is she a Green Bay Packers fan?
I'm pretty confident that I didn't put that in the script, so that was something added by the storyboard artist.
Yeah, ask Jason and Jen.
Yeah, so.
All right, thank you.
But yes. Hey, how's it going?
Super.
I noticed while watching the show that each season seems to have its own sort of distinct feel to it. Like, it's very easy to determine while watching an episode what season it belongs to. And I was wondering if there was anything that happened maybe between seasons or to the writers, maybe that they learned something or evolved in some way to get them to write a certain way as it went on.
I mean, I can't speak to the first 2 seasons, but season 3 and season 4 are the ones where I kind of moved up and became the story editor. And I know, especially for season 4, I just had a very specific plan and sort of a theme that I really wanted to convey with the season. Nothing exciting or traumatic had happened in my life. I think it was just sort of a worldview that I felt like I wanted and felt like fit within sort of where we were with the characters at the time. That I felt like, here's something we can say with the season. So it was really more of that, just kind of having a plan and having a point of view that I thought we could carry over for the arc of the season.
Thank you, drive-through.
Hi. I was wondering, this is a question to all of you, when you first started out writing, what was the main thing that helped you the most? Like, inspired you to keep writing, to keep going, just to keep thinking of creative ideas, original ideas?
When you started writing, what made you want to keep? I mean, when I started writing plays, I just enjoyed writing plays. I just came up with funny ideas that I wanted to put down on paper. And I came up with characters that I enjoyed. And also I had to write it, or otherwise I wouldn't get a grade.
For me, it was reading. It was just like, you read this, oh my God, that's amazing. And then you read a different genre, a different writer. You can do that, that's incredible. It's just so expansive, and you just get caught up in it. And how can I do this too? So, the well never runs dry. I have no idea what you asked.
We were just saying that.
That was so profound.
I'm sorry. It's how do we keep writing? How do we?
Yeah, like how do you keep thinking of just really creative ideas each time you write an episode or anything really?
Oh, I just get an angry email that's like, hey, where's that premise? No, I'm just kidding. No, that's totally real. I mean, for creative ideas specifically for this, I mean, we have these great group of characters, and we do have some sense of where we want them to go and things like that. So that certainly, you know, we're trying to figure out what these guys and gals would do. And then just in general for writing and what sort of motivates me, I feel like writing is one of the few times where I am not thinking about anything else. When I start, I get in a zone, and the problems of the world disappear, which is an awesome feeling to just do that and be in that sort of mind space. So the fact that I've experienced that and know that I can just go back to that whenever I want, it motivates me to get my butt in the chair and do it.
Thank you so much.
Hello there. I've never watched the show, but I've...
Me neither.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
But I just wanted to know, like, from how all the actors get along on the set, in movie sets, but for you, the writers, how do you guys all, like, get along when it comes to writing, coming up for new ideas for episodes, and do you mostly work in teams, or do you mostly work by yourselves?
I've never hated anyone as much as I hate Amy.
Yeah,
this is really painful.
We don't get along at all.
Well, everybody writes. I mean, we don't have any staff on this show, but except for me. I'm the only one that's on there all day, every single day. So the only time that we really spend together as a group is we have these kind of writers' summits for a couple days every so often during the season, where we all get in a room and think about what we're going to have for lunch and look on the internet and then think of some stuff and then look on the internet some more. But I mean, we have a really good, funny group of people, and one of the reasons that we love coming to conventions is because it's such an awesome time to get to hang out with each other too and just socialize. But everybody is really fun and funny in the room, but everybody does have to split off and kind of do their own thing and work independently.
Oh, nice. Also, okay, thank you.
Hi. I was just wondering, like, I hear rumors sometimes about, like, how you guys get really negative feedback and things like that, and I'm just wondering, like, how you deal with that, and does it affect the way you write the episodes then, or do you just kind of ignore it, or?
That's pretty much just Natasha, right?
For the most part, I've never gotten any negative feedback.
I like your
in my life,
episodes.
really.
I only get negative feedback from them. It's true. Everyone else loves me. So I can't answer that. Megan?
I think mostly you just kind of have to ignore it. It's like when you're looking at the comment section of something online, and like the worst thing you can possibly do is read the comments in the comment section. You just have to exert as much control as you possibly can to not read the comments, because eventually it's going to be mean and hurtful, and who needs that?
It's also strange on this show because the negative feedback we get is for something we wrote a year ago. So there's this weird like time delay gap of like, oh, I remember what I was doing a year ago, and what am I trying to say?
I don't know. I think you said it.
I got it. I nailed it.
Yeah. Nailed it. I'll be honest, it's a total bummer getting the negative feedback. So, you know, an episode will air, and we'll think, hey, that's a good episode. And at first we get all this positive feedback, like, hey, that was really, really good. And then people will begin to kind of overanalyze it and nitpick and, oh, but I didn't like this little one thing you did, Amy. Oh, that made me so mad. And then everybody starts like going, yeah, that made me mad too.
And now that you mention it, now I'm mad.
Everybody starts focusing on it.
I'm telling you, don't read the comments.
And gets so, but it's on my Twitter, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they get angry, and I'm like, everybody's so angry about this. And so I get, upset. I'm like, oh, I'm so upset about this. I'm so upset about this. And everybody's reading into it in a way that I never intended it to be read into. And they're all bent out of shape. And I'm so bummed now. And my husband's like, stop being so bummed. And, and my daughter says, Mom, you didn't mean it that way. And, so it kind of, can kind of spin you out a little bit. And then I just gotta go, well, you guys are, people who are upset about it are very attached to the characters, and I appreciate that. And I know what I wrote is true to the character as I see that character, and it was approved by everybody. It wasn't just me, it's like, I have the power. It was, it was approved by many, many people, and quite frankly, they have the power. So it's not like I get yelled at as if, it was just me, and it's not just me or any of us. It's, there's so many other hands in it, and that's the thing that I think people don't appreciate. And then I just have to go, let it go, and move on, and not let it affect the next script, because that would really suck for me to write, for instance, Pinkie Pie differently, because people are all cranked off because Pinkie Pie got upset at Fluttershy and and made her cry. So it's it can be challenging because you want to be there to answer folks' questions and bounce back with them, but then people get upset, and people, if you're going to take the positive, you also take the negative. But it can be kind of like, as Mitch said, it was written a year ago. And it's like, wait, why are they upset about that? Something that happened a year ago? Hold on now. And wait a minute, I wrote that a year ago, and then it got taken away from me, and it got animated, and things were added, and da-da-da, and all these other pieces of the puzzle happened. And, it's all these other things. So there you go. That's my answer.
All right. Well, I'm sorry if some comments did offend you. I never said anything, but okay, that was my question. Thank you.
And I don't think we're saying that you can't be critical.
Right.
Criticism is, you're not going to like everything, and there's no expectation that everybody will like everything. I think it's really more, for me, it's speaking to the fact if you open a Twitter account to tell me that you hate me and you hope that I die, I feel like you're doing social media wrong.
Sorry about that.
Right.
But if you don't like something and you want to critique it, or we're all. That's, of course, everybody has opinions on things like that. I think it's when it gets a little harsher.
It's just the level of how people phrase things, which can be nasty. And so that's, having opinions is fine, but calling people names isn't cool. And that's where it gets hurtful, and you go, okay, because, would you say that to my face kind of thing?
Yeah, they probably wouldn't too, so.
Yeah, so.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, and since I promised my one fan, I'm Andrew J. Talent, and I write terrible fan fiction, which is kind of redundant. But it is fun, and I get the same sense that writing is something you guys enjoy as well. But I'm wondering if if there's that same sense of fun for writing in general, or if the rewards are different, because I'm not sure if it's monetary, of course, you mentioned that before, but the rewards you get for writing professionally. Unless you're J.K. Rowling, but
Is writing still fun when you...
Still fun, or is it rewarding in a different way, or is it just a job now, basically?
Yeah, it's still fun. I don't think we would keep, or I wouldn't keep doing it if I didn't have fun. I mean, it's not like there aren't days where it's really hard and you're trying to figure something out and you have a deadline and you're freaking out because you haven't figured. I mean, there's definitely times where it's not fun. But I kind of compare it to at least my game of golf, where you just keep hitting in the rough, and you just get that one shot where you're like, oh, yes, that's it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that came out of my brain. I can't believe this is happening. And it's not like that's the constant state you're in, but that high is so great that you come back and do it again. So, yeah. It stays fun, and if it doesn't, then you shouldn't do it anymore.
I hate writing. Hate it. Absolutely hate it.
Can I have your job
Every
then?
day when I sit down at my desk, it's a torturous, horrible, awful experience. And then it's done, and it's great. When I've written and I have a script and it's done, and then I can read through it and fix it, love it. Writing sucks.
Yeah, I have to second that. The writing process is awful, but having written is really cool. Like having done something that you've completed is great. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm at the point now where I'm starting to actually have fun in the moment a little bit if I can stop thinking about the fact that I have to hit my deadline, and if I don't get this script done by this certain amount of time, I won't be able to pay my mortgage. And so there's definitely aspects of the job that filter in, but the fun parts of it are, like, I worked really hard to get to the point where I'm supporting myself and my family with writing, and I wouldn't do that if it weren't a cool thing to do.
Thank you very much.
I was just going to say that. I don't know. I love it. I really enjoyed the whole. I feel a lot like what Megan said before, that it's like the one place where I don't think, it just kind of comes out of me. And not to say that it isn't terrible after it comes out, but it still is fun. The process, I really like it.
Hi, this is kind of a twofold question. The general question is, how closely do you work with the animators to put in little background details? Because I noticed in the Princess Twilight Sparkle premiere this season that the Tree of Harmony's design had a lot of Rarity's Cutie Mark pattern in it, and I was wondering if that was just a coincidence that the animators put in, or if you would ask for that or that sort of thing.
A lot of that stuff is they take that stuff and run with it. Because if we wrote in all the kind of background stuff that you see into a script, it would be a 200-page script. And including, like, with background characters. If a character doesn't speak, or if a character doesn't do something that moves the plot forward or interacts with the characters who are the focus of the story, that's all stuff that is done once it goes to board. Just because, again, if we turned in something that was that long, first of all, they would get a 50-page, 100-page script and be like, we can't make this. But yeah, so a lot of that stuff is done with the design, with the board artists and things like that.
Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a student at San Francisco State University, studying creative writing as a major. And I have a few questions. And I actually had to think a little bit about this question, because there's a whole bunch of questions I could have asked before I had to come to this one. But it ultimately boils down to the writing process for me. And I wanted to know, when you're asking yourself questions when you're writing a piece, either in the creation process for anything writing, not specifically the show, or in the revision process, what questions and difficulties do you have to face when you're assessing something, say, as character setting, or a character's intensity and their desires or their fears or their values? Do I need to re-elaborate? So in the creation or development process, whether it be for this show or for anything that you write in general, are there any kind of questions, or if there are any kind of questions, what are the questions that you ask yourself, and how you can adjust or modify a character's intensity in their desires or their fears or their values to help reveal that sort of character that you want to portray?
I think the general question is, what kind of questions do you ask yourself when writing to make sure that the characters, that when you're writing them, are true to the characters? Like, what kind of questions do you ask yourself to stay within those bounds?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, usually we try to start with, at least on this show, we start with a premise that comes from a character's want, and making sure that it feels like that's something that character would generally be after or want to achieve. I mean, obviously, kind of bad example would be like you wouldn't have Rarity wants to win the fastest flyer in equestrian. Like that's just not a want that she's going. So you're not going to build a story around that. So that's kind of the starting point. And then as far as like revisions and stuff like that, questions that you ask yourself, it's weird. I mean, if you saw the notebooks that I keep, because we all write independently and I'm writing independently, you would think I was a like insane person, because it is a series of questions. When I'm starting off with something, it is a series of questions that's like, okay, is this what the character wants? What if they did this? Oh, well, but that's not really where they would go. And it's kind of on a script by script basis for the types of questions. But I do have just notebooks filled with, I'm asking myself, is this where the character would go? Does this make sense? Is the narrative really working here? So I don't know that there's specific questions. It's kind of, each story sort of creates its own questions. What would happen next? Is this how they would behave? And then my job is to answer those questions.
Thank you for your time.
As a sort of latching on something that you said there with things there within the voice actors range, it was very different. I know that when you were originally writing for the show, because a lot of it hadn't been recorded and all that stuff. Now that the voice actors have been around and you know them so well, how often now do you take into account, this is the way that where you would change your writing based on maybe Andrea would do it this way, but it wouldn't be done if it was a different actor doing that. So how often do you take that into account nowadays, now that they're more established?
Kathy is by far the best voice actor on the show. It's like not even close.
And not saying that because she's sitting in the back row, right?
Not even close. I don't ever think of the actor specifically, but I think of what they've done. We can listen to so much of their work now and what they've done to the character.
Yeah.
So it's not so much thinking about what would Andrea say. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like what would Spike say in this situation? It's so much easier to write on a show where the characters are already established.
Right.
And you just come in and just inherently whether this is something this character would say or not.
Yeah, when you've seen the characters in action, when we were starting out in season 1, we were learning all about them and we hadn't heard them and we hadn't seen them. And so it was a lot of, we were establishing everything. And then when we finally got to see it, it was like, oh, okay, now we see what they're doing. And then it was even easier to continue writing for them. And now there's so much groundwork laid, it's all the easier to just jump into the script and write them.
And we know that we could give them such a range of emotions, and this voice cast is so talented that you don't have to think, oh, I can only make Pinkie Pie ever be happy. That's all she'll ever be able to handle. You can take her to some dark places. And Andrea is gonna bring it, and same for all of them. They can do those sort of layers, which is great. And I think one of the things that makes the show so special is that they don't just stay in the same place all the time. They're three-dimensional.
Hello. I was wondering, for everyone up there in the panel, when you're writing something, what is the process that you use to get out of writer's block when you get it?
my life is writer's block. It's banging my head against the computer until it's done.
Yeah, I feel like writer's block comes from a place where you can't move forward unless it's perfect. And because this is my job, there are lots of times where I'm like, well, it's not perfect, but my kids need to eat, so this. And then I just do the next thing. And oddly, that ends up clearing the way for stuff that wouldn't have happened if I was blocked by having to make it perfect. So a lot of times it's just like going, whatever, and just doing the thing that you think of, and then you can come back to it and finesse it later.
Yeah, you put a something down, because at least if you have a something, you can go back and change it.
Yeah.
And for me, also, I figure things out when I'm driving or when I'm like in a spin class. It's when my brain's doing something else, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's how I fix that thing that, I put something down and I know I hated it, but then I'm doing something else and I go, oh, okay, now I can go back and fix that that I put down now that I'm doing this, other thing where my brain isn't, really thinking about the writing and fixating about that, and now I can go and fix it.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Hello there. I've been wondering, was there any episodes where you guys got stumped?
Got stuck?
Like stumped. You have no clue, no idea what to do or go further.
Oh, yeah.
Is there an
Yeah,
episode?
yeah, absolutely.
And we got rid of him and you didn't get to see it.
He's so offended by that. I'm actually gonna.
It's just left.
Just left.
I intentionally
I'm gonna
have
say
been.
right back.
All the time. It just hurt him so much he had to leave.
Sorry.
He can't even talk
I think
about
I know
it.
why he has to leave, and I did.
Sorry about that. I do have attention to do that.
I'll be right back.
We're almost done.
You get stuck on stuff all the time, and you just have to push through it. I mean, but usually a lot of times what happens is if you're stuck, it's because it's wrong.
Yeah.
When you are telling a story the way that it's supposed to be told, you knock it out like that. Because they do what they're going to do. They react the way they're going to react. The story moves the way the story is meant to be told. It is. If you're stuck, go back to the beginning and look at your first act, look at right where you started, and you'll see, oh, the reason I can't move forward is because this was wrong. I started off the wrong way, and I have to rework that. And then you'll find, like, ooh, it just flows right out of you.
Kind of goes back to the writer's block question. It's like sometimes I think what Josh said is right. You just got to push through and you'll find the answer, and sometimes you just have to stop and everybody's leaving. We all have to
That's a
leave.
very offensive question.
Does anyone have any other-
Larson!
Larson, if you're there, if you could hear me, I'm sorry about that. I think I broke a nerve.
Don't blame yourself.
Oh yeah, 5-second pose.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah, next question.
Keep going.
Make it not so offensive this time. We don't want to lose these three. Come on.
You can hear, yeah, okay, you can hear me. Yeah, well, he chased off the guy I wanted to ask the question. I'm kidding.
He'll be back.
I'm kidding. I'm
Wait,
kidding. I'm sorry.
You can wait. He'll
We can
be
all
back.
just, we
He'll
can
be
all
back
just
in 2
stand here.
minutes.
When he comes back in,
You
we'll
can
just all
split-
look.
We should, yeah. Make him feel completely awkward. Just.
Where'd you go, Larson? We were waiting. You want?
Wait, oh, sorry, what was that?
He said thanks, M.A. Larson.
Yeah.
We could take another question if you want. If you want to wait for him to come
Here
back.
he comes. Here he comes.
Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
Is he coming back?
Everybody pretend we weren't talking about him.
We were waiting.
It's a long panel.
We were waiting so long that Megan went after you.
Megan went to find. No.
Hi.
I'm sorry.
Hey, yeah. This question is for M.A. Larson.
That's convenient. That's awesome.
I know it's convenient. Yeah. Do you think I could have your number? I mean, I have a huge man crush on you. Do you think I could have your number at all, by chance?
I'll tweet it to you.
What's that?
I'll tweet it to you.
All right, fine. Your loss.
555.
It's a good-looking guy.
Hi.
Hello.
My question is.
Do you want my number too?
Dear God.
No, actually, I don't. But
Correct answer.
so my question is, will we be seeing any more of the main six's family or past?
Who?
Main six.
Oh,
Will
the main
we
six.
be seeing their family?
Family or
Any
past?
more of the main six's family?
Do you have anyone in particular you're asking about? Or just any of them?
Just any of them.
As far as season 4, Not that I'm recalling. Anybody?
Let's ask her.
Let's ask her. Yeah, maybe she knows.
If you follow me on Twitter, you know I had to leave.
Main Six's past or family, are we seeing anybody?
For the rest of this season?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, y'all. Okay, so you've just finished writing the best episode of Pony. Somehow it's been nominated for Best Feature Film at the Oscars, despite the physical impossibility.
I like where you're going.
What are you going to do for lunch now?
Lunch?
Lunch.
Lunch? I don't know.
You'll have to ask my agents.
We'd just like to get lunch.
I guarantee you, whatever it is he eats for lunch, Emmy Larson will tweet it.
What is it?
I said I guarantee whatever you have for lunch, she'll tweet it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, you want a food item?
That isn't, the fact that we're not answering this is not an indication that lunch is not important to us, because lunch is that's like every writer's meeting. It starts at 10 and we're like, so what's for lunch? What are we doing here for lunch? Let's get her in here let's get the menu. But
You've asked a question that's the core of the show.
Yeah. This could turn into a long answer, actually.
It's a tough question, really.
Yeah, we obsess about lunch, so. We
do. Lunch is magic.
We're not
We don't
really
know.
going to answer that. We've answered it.
That's good enough. That about explains it. Thank you, guys.
But we're grateful for the award.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's an honor just to be nominated.
First off, Josh, I love your shirt.
yeah, it's awesome.
But
she is.
This question is directed at the two newest additions to the MLP writing staff.
It's you guys.
How did you two end up here? Well, I mean, Josh, you kind of went over this already, but how did you end up writing for MLP?
You go.
Natasha's fanfics were really good.
So everybody out there, keep doing it. This could happen to you. I mean, I was writing a lot, and then I met Megan, and I submitted my sample to her, and that's what happened.
I won a contest. No, it was the same thing. I was trying to get writing work, and some of my writing happened across Megan's desk because I made people who know her give it to her. Yeah, and then she liked this. So, yeah.
Well, welcome. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the question. It's an honor just to be asked.
Do you have any plans on revisiting the Diamond Dogs?
Revisiting Diamond Dogs?
Yes.
The Diamond Dogs.
Have we seen? In human form? In trouble?
That doesn't
I feel
count.
like that's been in something.
Yeah, that's been
I feel like that's
implied.
out there. I feel like I'm not going to get fired for that.
It's in the.
I don't think I would have said that.
That's not really a
I
trailer.
can't believe you
Yeah.
let that leak. I don't understand.
Yeah, human form.
Yeah. In human form, for sure. I'm not
guess
sure
that
about
counts.
That's as good as it gets, baby.
Yeah.
And that's the end of Megan's career on
Fired.
Okay, this question is directed towards Mr. Larson. And my question is, what kind of hot sauce do you like on your wings?
Magic hot sauce.
I'm glad.
Sriracha or whatever, I guess. I don't know.
Testing.
Buffalo.
All right, forgive me if this question has already been kind of asked. I've been talking to a lot of people in the line, so almost for every profession, I feel as if making connections is a really big part of making like success. So I want to know where you guys found your connections and where a good place for like maybe some aspiring writers in this room would maybe look for to find connections that would help them in an industry like the ones you work in.
I feel like bars. Lots
Meet
lots
us
of
at
bars.
Knuckles later.
I think Amy has like the quintessential.
Yes, Amy
story.
does have the quintessential story.
What's my quintessential
You were like a PA.
story?
and
Oh,
you
yeah.
met people.
Yeah, you know. I mean, yeah, I was a production assistant on Powerpuff, and so I was just, you know, surrounded by everybody. So that's how I met Craig. And then while I was on Powerpuff, Lauren got hired. And so then Lauren and I were working on Foster's together, and, you know, we became friends. And then I was freelancing, and I was at the Foster's wrap party. And, woo! And
You were there?
And I was rapping, as usual.
Turn it
and I, in between sets, I was talking to Lauren, and she told me about My Little Pony and that she was pitching this to Hasbro. And she said, hey, if it gets picked up, I would like you to write on it. And, you know, that had everything to do with this relationship that we had. And so that's how, you know, I ended up on the show. So yeah, that was all those connections.
I mean, there is a matter of like it's who you know, but it doesn't mean you have to know them right this minute. Like, and you can meet them in a lot of different ways that, like Amy's talking about, she was a production assistant on a show. She wasn't a writer on that show, but she was close to the people who made the decisions about that.
Right.
So that's a big part of it is getting another job in this industry in a different position, but having the writing, you know, having written something. So once you've made that connection, you can say, hey, well, you know, will you take a look at this? And if you're a nice person that hasn't like been a jerk to them, they'll probably say yes. But there are lots of different ways to meet people who can give you connections to other people and things like that.
And they knew I was a writer because I had plastered posters for my play all over the studio. And I kept saying, come and see my play, come and see my play. And they came and saw my play, and so they knew that I was a weird writer. So Craig took a chance on me, and they knew I was dependable because as a production assistant, I did my job. And so, that's what they needed. They needed somebody, well, they didn't necessarily need a weird writer, but they knew that I, you know, could probably do the job and that I was dependable. And so being that person who was there and would do, you know, being that person and, you know, was, you know, the right person in the right place, and, you know, all those things all fell into place.
I think it's basically just don't be afraid to take any job, because when you're on a show, you meet the people on the show ends, they all end, and they all go off to different shows.
Just get out and meet people.
Yeah.
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 All right, thank you.
Hey, Amy, do you still consider yourself a weird writer?
I'm sorry?
Do you still consider yourself a weird writer?
Yeah.
All writers are weird.
We've got one
incredible
more.
rapper.
We've got one
Such
more
a good
question.
rapper.
The epic conclusion to the writers panel here. Go ahead.
Better be epic.
I was wondering, is there maybe a chance that we ever will see the straight-haired Pinky again in later episodes?
That's a Natasha question.
You know, we kind of like, I mean, that kind of speaks to the knowing what Andrea can do with that character, is that it's certainly a place that we know we can take Pinkie Pie into those sad, dark places. Sure, perhaps, if we spark to something. It's always like, what kind of story do we want to tell with her, and is that something that feels, when she goes to the straight hair Pinky, that we're taking her pretty far over on this side, so something pretty intense has to happen. So we have to find the right story where that feels right.
Thank you so much. So last thing, because I know that there's two parts of this, because of the fact that there's so many questions that people want to ask you that it's being split into two panels. So there's one tomorrow. So before we get to our epic to be continued, do you guys have anything that you want to leave us with that you might want to? I don't know if Meghan wants to drop us, some kind of a really crazy fake spoiler like she does on Twitter.
I can't believe nobody asked what's in the box.
What's in the box?
Nobody.
What's in the box?
I'll never tell
What's in
you.
the box? Hashtag what's in the box.
Oh, yeah, I can totally tell you that. It's
okay.
Gwyneth Paltrow's head. No?
But yeah,
at tomorrow's panel, we're going to answer the questions we dodged today.
Anything from you, Amy?
Oh, what?
Just like
I don't know. What am I supposed to answer?
I don't know. Just something to leave us with before the panel tomorrow.
I'm going to be drinking a Bellini tomorw morning.
So probably a lot of secrets will come out.
Yeah, so all my secrets will be revealed.
That's awesome. At tomorrow's panel, you'll find out where each one of the people who left the panel went to.
I'm going to leave the panel tomorrow.
Yeah. We're all taking turns to leave the panel for mysterious reasons.
I may not be drunk at tomorrow's panel. Find out.
Awesome. Once again, I would like to get a huge round of applause for these wonderfully talented people here. I want to thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for coming out. We really appreciate it.
I want to thank you guys so much for all the hard work that you do to bring us this show and make it as magical as it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.